What can we expect from this visit as it is happening in the backdrop of a West Asia war, major crisis, major fuel crisis?
I think it's a very significant visit coming, as you said, in the backdrop of what's happening in West Asia. It's a very strong symbol of support. Actually, this would be Prime Minister's 8th visit to the UAE. More than once a year, our leadership has been meeting.
Will there be any kind of agreements do you expect with UAE?
Energy has been a bedrock of our relationship. UAE is our anchor energy partner in the whole of Gulf.
We have learned that 2 MOUs are going to be signed during the visit. One on the areas of LPG and strategic petroleum reserves.
How important LPG really is to the individual consumer is not very, very clear, because LPG is actually fuel for 340 million households. One of the discussions I can expect would be on augmenting supplies of LPG from the UAE.
Hormuz is almost closed. Even if we sign a number of agreements, how is it going to be supplied?
So we are always planning for tomorrow. Hormuz is closed today. But the thing is that Hormuz has never been closed in the past. And I'm very hopeful that going by the discussions which are happening between the parties, it will open up at some point.
Our equations with UAE, will it impact our equations with Iran?
I don't see any change happening in that.
So the UAE has quit OPEC recently. How will it impact our energy relations?
The weakening of any cartel is good for us.
Do you see this war ending soon?
I am very hopeful that things should settle down. Continuing the war is in nobody's interest.
Sir, thank you so much for talking to us on this very, very important visit which Prime Minister will be undertaking soon. What can we expect from this visit as it is happening in the backdrop of a West Asia war and major crisis, major fuel crisis, not only India but globally, rising prices of crude? How do you look at this visit and what can we expect?
I think it's a very significant visit coming, as you said, in the backdrop of what's happening in West Asia. It's a very strong symbol of support. Actually, this would be Prime Minister's 8th visit to the UAE. And UAE President has visited India 5 times, which means more than once a year, our leadership has been meeting either in the UAE or in India, in addition to, of course, other meetings. In that sense, it's important. And also what's important is that, we have been able to connect across generations. So with the visit of the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and the Crown Prince of Dubai, that was a great, very, very significant thing between the two countries. The last visit of MBZ happened in January this year. Short, but very impactful visit. And I think this visit, which is happening tomorrow, will continue from where the leaders left, and also in the context of what's happening in West Asia these days.
Sir, as we are facing a very severe energy crisis globally and nationally, what can be expected? Will there be any kind of agreements do you expect with UAE, or will there be strengthening of ongoing projects? Or do you think this trip will give us some kind of a cushion in a way to ease the situation a bit?
I think energy has been a bedrock of our relationship. And today, UAE is our anchor energy partner in the whole of Gulf. And our relationship is a very unique relationship because it has moved well beyond a buyer-seller relationship. Of course, we buy a huge amount of crude from them. They are the 4th largest source, and it's about 11% of our imports. But at the same time, what we export to them in terms of petroleum products and lubricants, they are our 2nd largest petroleum export destination. But beyond trade, it's about investments also. We have invested more than $1.2 billion in Lower Zakum, a very prolific producing field, and also in Area 1 of Abu Dhabi, the exploration and development work. Plus, they have invested in our SPR, about 5 million barrels. And till today, UAE is the only country which has invested in our SPR program. So it's a very strong relationship. Plus, another thing is about the LNG. We have already contracted 4.5 MMT of energy, long-term energy supplies with them, because we have to diversify. And taking advantage of the proximity of the UAE, and also the availability of Fujairah as one of the terminals which is outside the Strait of Hormuz. I think this LNG trade is very, very important.
Sir, we have learned that 2 MOUs are going to be signed during the visit. One on the areas of LPG and strategic petroleum reserves. Can you throw some light since you have served there and I think you have also worked behind the scenes on this? So can you tell us about this?
How important LPG really is to the individual consumer is now very, very clear, because LPG is actually fuel for 340 million households. And UAE happens to be the second largest source for LPG for us. I think one of the discussions I can expect would be on augmenting supplies of LPG from the UAE on a consistent basis in the times to come.
Sir, but as we know that Hormuz is almost closed and there are definitely still the tension prevails. So how are we going to, even if we sign number of agreements and even as you said we are going to diversify, how is it going to be supplied?
So we are always planning for tomorrow. Hormuz is closed today, but the thing is that Hormuz has never been closed in the past. So there has been, there has been so many crises in that area. The Iran-Iraq war, Operation Midnight Hammer, which happened last year in June, Hormuz was still open. It is for the first time that it has got closed, and I'm very hopeful that going by the discussions which are happening between the parties, it will open up at some point. And we have to today plan for that situation when Hormuz opens. And we have to start working from it right now, from today. And I'm sure tomorrow's discussions between the leaders will also delve on that.
So sir, our equations with UAE, will it impact our equations with Iran or other countries?
Well,
because recently we are
the
seeing a lot of divisions and tensions among the Arab world as well.
Well, of course, differences have been visible, but two of the very key tenets of our foreign policy have been strategic autonomy on the one hand and multi-alignment, which means that we deal with multiple countries all at the same time, as we have been dealing in the past. So I don't see any change happening in that, because our relations with different countries are of a different nature altogether. And India knows how to handle those relationships, and other countries do understand.
So the UAE has quit OPEC recently.
Mm.
And how will it impact our energy relations with them?
Well, UAE quitting OPEC, it's the third largest OPEC producer, was a very significant decision. And I think fundamentally, the weakening of any cartel is good for us, because we are the third largest energy consumer and the second largest energy importer. So the weakening of a cartel helps us. And also, if you see the numbers, UAE today has the capacity to produce 4.8 million barrels a day. But because of the OPEC cuts, it was cut to 3.2. And they are planning to expand it to 5 million barrels a day by 2027. So if more supply comes in the market, it's good for us. And since there are deep relations between India and the UAE, I'm sure our companies would be talking to each other about doing some kind of long-term contracts.
So does the relationship with UAE goes beyond oil and gas and energy?
Very much. Very much. So it's a very comprehensive relationship. So beyond oil and gas, we are working a lot on renewables. Masdar, their largest renewable entity, has signed an agreement with the government of Rajasthan for developing 60 gigawatts of renewables. That's one. Second is we are working on laying a subsea cable between UAE and India for transmission of green energy. We are also working on nuclear. So during the visit of Sheikh Khalid, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, in September 2024, we signed an MOU on that. And immediately after that, we have started working on that. So Emirates Nuclear Energy Company, ENEC, and our NPCIL, they're working very actively on that point. And lastly, we are two of the signatories. India took the lead, of course. UAE joined us along with other countries to set up the Global Biofuel Alliance. So it's across that range of energy sources that we are working with each other.
And what could be the other areas that can be discussed?
So, see, our relationship, if you look at it technically, we have signed a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement. So it is very comprehensive. So what I can think about is that in the last visit of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed to Delhi in January, the two countries had signed a letter of intent on defense. I'm sure given the current circumstances, there should be further work on that. On the trade front, we have been working on launching a virtual trade corridor. We did that during Sheikh Khalid's visit again. That's now up for going live. Probably that could be announced So, there's so much happening between the two countries. We can expect much more than this.
There is a big component people to people contact also, sir. A lot of remittances also come from there. So, can we expect something new on this end also, sir? Some new confidence building measures? As we know that some confidence of people have shaken during this,
Yeah.
whether it's investments or whether it's business.
So one thing is sure, the kind of care the UAE government has taken of Indians in these very difficult times has been very heartwarming, I would say, which is not something new for us because it was the same we saw during difficult COVID times. So our community there is way in excess of 4.5 million Indians in the UAE. So we have set up these payment systems. UPI works there, RuPay card works there. Probably we can expect to have something more on financial transactions because Prime Minister's motto is to ease the living conditions for our diaspora there. So we could expect something on payments, but let's see.
Sir, also UAE has also faced tremendous attacks, number of attacks. In fact, some estimates say that Iran has attacked more to UAE than Israel also. So how do you see this, sir? How are they going to defend their space? Like, because till now they are very much dependent on US. But do you think that cover has failed to protect them and now they will look for other options? Maybe India will play a role in this?
So first of all, I would not say that the cover has failed because in spite of getting more hits than the rest of the GCC plus Israel, numbers speak for themselves, still they were able to defend themselves and really minimize the impact of all these attacks, which means the system worked. But as far as working with other countries is concerned, I'm sure UAE would be working with other countries because for any sovereign power, one has to diversify the countries it works with in terms of defending itself.
My last question to you, sir. You are an expert on energy. You know the diplomacy of the region. What is your estimate now? What do you see? Do you see this war ending soon? Especially when the two leaders, Xi Jinping and Trump, is meeting as we talk right now. And there's other actors which are now, playing a role in trying to, bring some peace in the region. Do you see this happening soon, or is it not predictable?
Well, I'm always an optimist, but I am very hopeful that things should settle down. There have always been political differences, ideological differences. It's been a volatile region, but continuing the war is in nobody's interest, and I get a feeling that everybody now is clear. Every country in the region is now clear that continuing the war is in nobody's interest. So it should settle down and peace should prevail. Although the marks, what has happened in the last couple of months will leave behind some marks, which might take time to heal. But I see peace coming very soon.
Thank you so much for talking to us, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.